words in Psalm 23.
Welcome to the Carr and Seguin Show, hosted by Devon Carr and Paul Seguin, where two Michiganders dive into real estate, outdoors, community building, and everything in between. Everything in between. Did that get recorded? Oh, hey, little extra jam.
There you go.
Extra jam.
There you go.
Hope you guys are all enjoying the new video intro. Some action shots of us. Kind of cool. Thanks to the guys here at Wayne Media. But episode 102, we're diving back into the housing data.
Yep.
And we're going to hop right into this. It's South Lyon today is what we're doing. South Lyon, gosh, man. So back in the day when I was a wee little boy, when I first started, I was assistant golf pro at Tanglewood in the years 2010. That's when I started there.
Okay.
2010, I believe. 2010, 11, yeah, and 12 was my last season. 3 years there. Dude, there was no homes. When I started, I mean, I've said this for years, actually. It's funny because 2010, I remember when I was driving down 10 Mile. And Tanglewood's off of 10 Mile just past, what road? Wixom Road. You got Links and Novi right there as well. But, dude, you go west on 10 past Wixom there. Even now at 10 and Beck, there's a whole 2 subdivisions on both sides of Beck Road. They weren't there. I specifically remember that. These used to be 2 forests. Now there's 2 subdivisions there. Keep going down 10 Mile, and there's a subdivision on the right. You go past Wixom. You have the huge subdivision that Toll Brothers built all around the lakes. I forget that huge Island Lake subdivision, which is massive. And then go even further down that, it's just sub. I mean, all the way down.
Yep.
Almost. I mean, now they're even building past Milford Road. So heading right into downtown South Lyon off of 10 Mile, it's just freaking new construction haven.
Yep.
And it all started right then, like 2010. I remember when I first started there, and it was just like every single like month in summer, it was like, oh, well, they're obviously clearing that out for another subdivision. Oh, well, there comes another one. Like you just see the bulldozers just like,
oh yeah,
they're just moving right
it's
down 10
booming.
Mile. Yeah, they're just
booming.
booming. And now it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there ain't anywhere, I think, in the surrounding South Lyon area that's probably not already been bought or in the process of probably being bought to be built on. Which is, South Lyon is always, I grew up in Livonia, so South Lyon to me, as if I try to remember as a kid, it was like the country.
Right.
Like, you're out in the boonies. Like, shoot, you got to go all the way to South Lyon? I mean, I remember thinking of like Brighton and Howell. Like, we had cousins that lived in Howell, and we thought we were going on a road trip. But yeah, South Lyon has had a huge, how I'd almost put it as, I don't know, like probably one of the more popular cities in our area in southeast Michigan that is just
growing.
A ton of new construction everywhere. And it's just a great city. South Lyon, downtown South Lyon's a nice little downtown. They don't got too much, I'll be honest. I mean, I live just south of there, so I know it. I mean, I drive through almost probably every day. There's not a lot going on there, but there's a real good bakery.
Yep.
They have the most fabulous apple fritters ever.
Really?
Dude, they have the bomb diggity. I mean, they're good size, too, man. They're like...
We might have to
they're a good...
put them up against Marv's Meats.
Where's that?
In Brighton.
In Brighton?
Yeah. I think it's classified as Brighton.
You know, well, there's a show. We'll have
apple
fritter taste off.
Yeah.
well, that would be the show, actually, that we put Johnny in the chair and put Grant on the engineering booth. We'll bring in some... You like apple fritters, Johnny?
Who doesn't?
Right?
I mean, I was going to say,
well,
man.
they're healthy. They got apples.
Yeah.
Right?
Duh.
It's a healthy donut.
Yeah. It's got fruit.
Right. It's got to be good for you.
But there's a good bakery in downtown South Lyon. There's the Corner Social, which has gotten, they've grown. It used to just be a small little like humpity dumpity like coffee shop, little stuff, and now it's just like it's a full freaking menu. They added like a lot of restaurants did because of pandemic, the whole eating outside patio stuff. No, I mean now they're expanding. There's Culver's down there. We got Big B. It's great downtown. We got a Mexican joint coming up.
There you go.
I know, we were sad. We used to go, when we attended Oak Point, Novi for a while, we used to always go to Lyon Cantina, which is in downtown South Lyon.
Okay.
It's a Mexican, obviously, restaurant, Lyon Cantina. Fabulous. And it was very every time we went there, it was always packed. Well, it burned to the ground. And now, supposedly, there's a brand new one going right there. I'm happy that we get some Mexican food again. Yeah. I sound like a Southerner.
I know.
But I'm talking about Mexican food. But yeah, so South Lyon's great. Great, big, booming city. New developments all over the place in Oakland County here in Michigan, if you're listening outside of the state. So we'll dive right in. Johnny, let's start off with the 1 year South Lyon average sales price, please, sir. And the price is right. There we go. So this is South Lyon, 1 year. So this goes to January of 2022 to January, and this is actually February. So we have February data because I did this today. So we have February data. Does yours have it?
No, it doesn't. Oh, what?
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Right.
I love this, actually. This is now showing February because look at that little V curve, man.
Your turn, Devon.
But year over year for average, again, for those of you who listen to the Brighton Show, remembering average is a cumulative of all sales prices divided by the number of homes sold. So there can be some outliers. It's why I like the median sales price data better, which would be next. But the average year over year that we're looking at right now is 200 and is that 89? The print for me is small.
289,628.
There you go. That is a positive appreciation of just under 10% of 9.4. Again, like we're going to do probably for a lot of all of these cities that we're going to be doing. If you were looking at the middle of this graph, that should put you roughly at around the middle of 2022, which is right when, I mean, not right when, but I think really when rates really started to rise. I think by midsummer we were in the 4s or maybe upper 3s and low 4s for sure, where I think that really started to cause some commotion in our business where it's like, man, rates are just, they ain't what they used to be the last 2 years where people were, promoting like, hey, I got a 2.6, guys.
Right.
You can shut up now, by the way, whoever you are. But I guess the big part to look at that is, South Lyon is booming. So, yes, like you said also in the last show, new construction is a lot in South Lyon and will play into this number, I'm sure, for sure. That didn't sound right. But you see how it was an upward, it may have come down a month or two where sales price jumped down. Maybe some new construction wasn't selling, and then maybe some were. And then it really jumped up, and then we've cooled off. I'm guessing that little cool off before our V, well, because this is February, that's January, and that's December. November, October, maybe even going back to September, South Lyon just saw a continue uptick on the average sales price, maybe because some new construction was selling. Because, if you're looking at new construction, depending on how big, new construction in South Lyon is 400,000 or 500,000 all day. And we're talking on average because South Lyon is a pretty decent-sized city, but it also has a lot of rural, older developed homes, right? Built in probably the 50s, 60s. maybe on an acre or two is where that average sales price is probably why it's sitting at almost 300. Because you're gonna have there's downtown South Lyon. You're gonna find some $200,000 homes all day in the surrounding city part of South Lyon, and then if there seems to be a lot of smaller ranches on maybe a half acre lot. If they're outdated, they're only going to get probably two low twos. Mm-hmm. So that's probably where the number's coming down on that average. But let's pull up the 3-year. So now this is a 3-year picture going all the way to just before the beginning of our pandemic. Golly. Look at that, man. All right, so on here, getting back to it, we had a little correction. So this 3-year data is wrong because I'm rolling, as you see on the top of the graph, it shows 12 months. So going from 190 to 289, you're talking about a 45% increase in average sales price. That's a lot of equity gained. I would say so. I would say that's one of the big things to remind a lot of people that I don't think gets talked a lot about right now because everything's so much interest rates, so much, what are we going to do? It's the right time. Like, there's a lot of equity a lot of people are still sitting on.
Right.
A lot of equity. I mean, think if someone bought a house at 190 and now their house is worth just taking this data alone. Right. You're sitting on $100,000 more. You should be. This is over 3 years of paying, your principal and interest.
Yeah.
You're sitting on, 3 years. You probably, it just depends. I don't know. You should probably be paying down roughly over 3 years. What, like $15,000, maybe $10,000 worth your mortgage? Well, right. That's true. It's so variable. Yeah. It depends on if you do extra payments and all that crap. But simply to say, you're sitting on $100,000 in equity plus. So let me take that to heart for you, those listening, how much equity you guys are, especially, even if you bought a house like in 2010,
right,
2009, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, you're sitting on some sick amount of home equity. And doesn't mean you have to sell.
Right.
You could do a cash out refi. I know that you would. It just depends on if you took advantage of the low interest rates and refied. If you didn't, I think the national average interest rate that people are carrying anyway is still in the 4s, right? Home national interest rate.
I'd have to look it up.
I thought I heard it was like 4.25 was the national average mortgage rate that's being carried today, which is so mind-boggling. That
it's not bad.
No, it's not bad. But it's just, I think just the thought of you had 2 years to get lower. What were you doing?
Well, they probably got that postcard saying, no, you should maybe refinance. And they're like, I don't care.
Right. Yeah, and they just never did.
Well, yeah.
Right.
They didn't have somebody that actually called them and explained.
Like my dad, Carl. I'll stop saying it.
Poor Carl.
Hey, they're sitting pretty now. They got a nice house in Brighton.
But yeah, look at that appreciation. Plus, I would imagine, not in all cases, but over the last year, the average raise in incomes was 9%. So you just had probably a lot more money now if you were to sell your house to put down towards a new house.
Mm-hmm.
Plus your income's more
than when you first bought
it.
Right. It's a very good way to look at it. You got more money to spend or available to spend on a monthly mortgage payment than you did before. And you're potentially sitting on enough equity to cover your closing costs and put 20%, just do a good loan and still put money in your pocket.
Right.
The opportunity is still now. It's still a great time. And obviously if you watched Brighton, and we'll get into it even more, South Lyon, that it's a seller's market, man. and there's bread to be made in this market still as the seller. So then let's go to the median 1 year South Lyon pricing data. So there we go. So median sales price, again, for those of you that maybe did not see the Brighton. If you did not see Brighton stats, watch this video, smash the like button on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, and turn on alerts so every time we post a video, you get alerted. But head on back to the Carr and Seguin Show channel on YouTube and look up episode 101, and that is Brighton. But for South Lyon, to explain, median is where you take all of the sales price homes sold, and you pick the very middle one. So like in the average, there's no outliers. So with this median sales price for South Lyon is up 4.6% from year over year. So some normal appreciation numbers. I mean, look at that skyrocket, though, from January of 2022. I mean, that thing just rose.
Yeah.
Like 20 G's, right? Isn't it? Or 15? Is that 15 G's? Yeah, 245 all the way up to 260. And it looks like just 2 months. So that was January, February, March. Boom, spring market's here. Took a little dip here, boom, shot back up, dropped down, went back up, which is so odd. Why do we keep seeing data in the middle of the month or the year last year when rates were starting to get into the 4s and 5%, but everything's shooting up? Everything's shooting up. It's weird. We see it come down a little, bounces, comes back up, comes down, but excuse me, edit that out. But then you see January and then February's data is now pointing again back up, y'all. And that's a decent little increase. I mean, that's a couple grand that they're showing on the average, or the median sales price jumped up. So we're coming back into the uptick again. So let's pull up for South Lyon. Do the 3-year on this. You should have the 3-year too, right? Yeah, look at this 3-year. Golly.
Whew.
Look at that. South Lyon right there in the middle of 21 just took a skyrocket and went from like 220 all the way up to 260 practically in the matter of 6 months. Just, and I think honestly that gained a popularity, right? Middle 21. I think a lot of people, 2020 brought the crave, but I think people were more seeking space. And South Lyon it can give you that new home. A lot of the new subdivisions have some decent size lots out in South Lyon, but surrounding cities even of South Lyon, Salem, Norfolk comes out pretty far, Plymouth comes out far, Whitmore Lake, Hamburg, Green Oak, all those surrounding cities of South Lyon got acreage. Acreage. So I think that's, to me, that I might be wrong, but I think that huge surge is you saw a big increase just because a lot of people wanted space, especially because of the pandemic. Getting all bunched in and crowded in, and I want some playroom.
Right.
I want to be able to go out and run around a little bit if we're going to be stuck here. Maybe pick up some horses, some chickens.
Right.
Pin some piggies. Baloney.
Yeah.
But as we continue trend going up, and again, that's bringing it, the continued trend up was the 1 year. So again, it's all thumbs up data right here, man. Thumbs up. So we'll go to, what's the next one we got?
Average days.
Average days on market. 1 year first. Average days on market. Look at that. So going back to January of 22, it was 21 days. Shot up to 23 days. Shot back down to 21. Plateau. Dropped 20. Up 21. Down 20. I mean, it's chilling all around 23,
Right.
Anywhere from 20 to 23 days. And guys, again, the graph on the left was still when rates were good. At least 3s for sure, I'm sure, during those months. And as rates have gone up, the days on market's come down. And it's funny because it stayed for February. right at 20 days on market. So obviously homes are moving, homes are selling. So for you sellers, homes, it's a great time still to sell. Buyers, I would say start to saddle up, even as rates have ticked up. I think I don't know, man. I might be wrong. I don't have a crystal glass ball to tell you what's coming, but I just feel it. I feel that the spring market's going to be kind of hot here in Metro Detroit, especially in Brighton and South Lyon, because the data is telling us go to the 3-year, Johnny, for average days on market. 3 years. So this is going to push us all the way back to right before the pandemic. Look at that, y'all. Now we're talking about
how low can you go?
Pre-pandemic, January of 2020 was 37 days on market. You see that? Because when I copied it, it showed it. And it shot all the way up to 45 days, which is respectfully so, because that was going through COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A lot of people uncertainty, big question marks, understandable. But man, towards the end there, when that 21 was just an insane market. That was just out of this world. And it, as you can tell, the days on market just plummeted real fast. It plummeted before even 21 ended and got all the way down to, it looks like 19 days on market. And we've hovered there, right? Because we just saw the 1 year. The highest it went to is 23. Obviously, we see here the lowest it ever got was 19. And we're still hovering around those numbers, guys. So it still means homes are moving, homes are selling, buyers are buying. A thumbs up on this data. It's good in South Lyon. Final ones we'll look at is the month supply. Month supply. We'll do the 1 year first. Look at that. All through early 22 was down. I mean, dude, there was almost below a month.
Yeah.
1.1. And we've started to slowly stair-step our way up, right? Again, I've always kept focusing, guys, on the middle of the graph is when stuff really started to get high quick. So we're starting to see more listings, more homes come available, but we're not even at 1.5.
Right.
I mean, this graph, if you looked at this graph, you would just think, wow, there's big time growth there. Like that company just made a ton of money real quick.
Yeah, you would.
Like that revenue shot up, and then you look over on the left and you're like, oh, nope, that's 0.05 every line. That's the company making 50 and then 55, then 60, 65, 70. Not so much. Yep. But again, it's showing what we need. Because guys, we've been saying this for the last 2 years. We need more homes.
Right.
We need more homes, guys. We got buyers. We need more homes. And I think if we go to the 3 year here real quick before I say what I was about to say, because I'm curious to see. Woo! Look at that, guys. The far left was before pandemic happened. Middle of the winter, January of 2020, and we were at a 2.5 month supply.
Still well below buyer's market.
Well below. And guys, we are not seeing this dramatic uptick. Like, sure, you could probably argue like, well, if I look back, we're going this way. Sure, we are. But like Devon just said, even if we climbed all the way back up to where we were in 2020, we're still in a seller's market. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would actually applaud if we could go back to that, where it was just normal for houses to get listed, and you had some activity, and you got some good offers, and it sold. Mm-hmm. And we're not stressing over. You got to get your offer in by 8 p.m.
Right. Yeah.
You better write an appraisal guarantee. It better be over 20,000, or dude, I'm just throwing yours in the trash. Right. You're not even in the mix anymore. It's as much as I say, it's like some normal, a house that would sit on the market over the weekend,
right?
Maybe even the week, doesn't mean the house is bad.
Right.
But we got all spoiled by COVID thinking that, why did it not sell in the first 4 days? Mm-hmm. But that's not even true, because you look at the days on market,
right?
It's always been 20. So I think the rule of thumb is if it sits more than 25 days, then maybe there's something wrong.
Right.
Maybe. And I tell clients this all the time is like, hey, I mean, if it's on the market a couple of weeks, great. That might be one to go after.
Right.
Because if it checks your boxes, maybe not all your boxes, but it checks the big boxes, right? Mm-hmm. When we do that, when we talk and we say what's the must-haves and then what's the wishes.
Right.
What's the non-negotiables and what's the negotiables? Well, if this house has all of the must-haves, the non-negotiables, there's no reason for us not to go look at that house. Let's just go look at it. And hey, they still don't have any offers, so let's get a deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, guys, there's plenty of opportunities like that out there. It's still happening, but I mean, that last data, thumbs up. South Lyon is a thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot. I think it's going to stay hot.
Oh, yeah.
It's same with Brighton. So again, I think fact or fiction, y'all. Things are moving. Things are continue to move. The real estate is good. If you're thinking of selling, it's good. And hey, I just welcome more inventory. Mm-hmm. Because then it's especially for you people that have to sell.
Right.
Because you've heard that a lot too. Like, well, I'll sell today, but where do I go? Guys, let's put some homes on the market, man. And I mean, to make any different, to go from 1.4 to 2.5, I mean, you're still needing a lot of homes to hit the market at once.
Right.
Really fast. And then to sit.
Right.
To even adjust that number that much. So I just don't see it when that supply and demand is true, and it has always been true in the history of all industries, of all markets and products. When the supply is low, I don't care what you're selling, if there's still a demand, it's going to affect the value of that product. And I think what this data and what we're going to try to do continuously, we'll do a couple more cities. I think we're going to also talk about Dexter. No particular order, so we're gonna hook you to keep coming back. But Dexter, we'll talk about
Plymouth,
Milford. Yeah, I love Milford. Milford, Heartland, Highland, Howell. I mean, we got a whole bunch.
Right.
We can talk about. Now, like I said before in the other episode, if there's any specific cities you want to talk about, we can slide some data in real quick.
Absolutely.
We'll say, hey, per, whoever the heck your name is. A little plug deal. Here's the data. Send us an email, the Carr and Seguin Show at gmail.com. Reach out to us. Obviously, all of our information is in the show notes, every single 102 episodes.
Boom.
So you can reach out to us if you want specific cities, and then we'll give you a little shout out.
Right.
And we'll let you know. We'll email you the episode and say, hey, here you go. We did it for you. Go check it out. Share it. Love it. But I think it's fun. I think it's fun to see the true life data that just hopefully you could take it to heart today.
Right.
Real estate's not falling apart.
Yeah.
And we've been saying this for a while now. It's going to take a lot to make a huge dramatic change.
Right.
I mean, unless rates shooting up to 15% like they were in the 80s, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Hopefully never.
Yeah, that would be.
Never. But we've been saying this a long time. You have to put a lot of homes.
Yeah.
And guys, it's just not happening. Why? Homes have a ton of equity. Like, unless there was... Is this a me? Oh, it's me. Sorry. Someone from North Carolina, do not call me. I am recording. Even banks aren't losing money.
Right.
I mean, unless there was just a crazy, stupid thing that happened or whatever, like, there's no reason that we're not going to see this huge influx of short sales or foreclosures. Right. Homes just have tons of value. Value means there's room to figure things out.
Right.
You know?
And like you've said in other podcast episodes, right, the millennials are coming.
Oh, yeah. I mean, by the truckloads, dude. Yep. They're coming. And, I mean, look out.
Right.
Look out. They're going to be your neighbors. And we'll say a quick prayer right now for you. A A lot of late night bonfires coming.
Right.
Hope you don't have kids that need to be in bed by a certain hour. The jukebox will be a little pumping. But no, it is true. That's a very good point. I think I had that up in the noggin of saying it, but I mean, it is coming, man.
Right.
There is a big number of millennials that
30, 33 years old.
They're sick of living in their parents' basement, collecting those big old paychecks that they've been banking, like Johnny was just saying, he was smart to do as well. I mean, it's
right.
They're even if they're even mid 20s, upper 20s, we're seeing a lot more.
Oh yeah.
Of that age group as well, saying, "Hey, no, I want to invest. I want to buy. I don't like this rent game."
Right.
They're thinking about just what renting does do and what it doesn't do, and what homeowners does do. And I think a lot more people are, especially with just the information these days, right? With YouTube and the internet, obviously over the last 10, 15 years has just changed the game of information.
Right. Oh,
and I think the younger kids, obviously, I mean, shoot, my 3-year-old freaking knows how to do stuff on a phone. I'm like, why? Like, what are we doing? But when they're able to have information quickly and realize they can just study the differences, I think that's why they're like, no, I'd rather invest. It's a vehicle of wealth. Mm-hmm. And I always love helping people buy homes because it's an investment in themselves.
Right.
It's a vehicle for wealth, for building wealth. When you build wealth through an asset like real estate, it only opens other avenues to continue to grow your wealth. Right. I mean, we're talking about equity. You're sitting on $100K equity. Well, great. You want to go buy a lake house? Pull your down payment out of your house.
Right.
Use your funds. It's there for you to use. You want to start a business? Pull out some money to start a business and do it with cash. Sure, you got to pay a little bit, but at the end of the day, you have available funds. That's your money that you're in control of to grow with. Right. So, and you can't do that if you don't own assets. And real estate is a very great way to do that. Mm-hmm. And it's fun to inform and educate, like we always try to use this show to do, to show you guys data and facts, and hope obviously steer you in the direction that's good for you. So, South Lyon's a go.
Yes, sir.
Brighton's a go. Stay tuned for next 2 weeks. I think we'll just continue unless we get some guests on or something, which is always the hope. But I think we'll just kind of continue this. I think it'd be cool to maybe just ingrain this into the show a little bit. Right, we'll see if the audience thinks so.
Thumbs up, thumbs up.
We'll just kind of keep a little snip on it. See what happens. So South Lyon's go. I'm Paul Seguin with eXp Realty.
I'm Devon Carr with Gold Star Mortgage.
The Cigar, what is this show called? This is the Carr and Seguin Show. See ya!
The primary purpose of this podcast series is to inform, entertain, and educate. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast series do not constitute legal or professional advice, opinions, or endorsements of any kind. Gold Star Mortgage Financial Group, NMLS 3446, Equal Housing Lender.